At Visible Network Labs, we assess network partners' perceptions of trust and value because our research has shown that they're important to building and maintaining collaborative capacity within a network. Your network survey asked about 6 questions about how survey respondents trust and value their network partners. Let's start by talking about measuring value first. We use 3 validated questions to capture different forms of value that an organization may bring to a collaborative partnership. This includes power and influence, their level of involvement, and their resource contribution. These dimensions of value were originally identified, defined, and validated using extensive interviews with organizations participating in community networks. They are each assessed on a 4-point scale, where 1 equals low and 4 equals high. Each survey respondent rates their perception of each of their partners' value across these 3 dimensions using the 4-point scale. In your member profile, other organizations' value perceptions of your organization are reported as averages. This includes your overall average value score, as well as the average for each subdimension of value, including power and influence, your level of involvement, and your resource contribution. In addition to your organization's individual scores, we also provide as a benchmark the average value scores across all members of the network, so you can compare your organization's scores to the overall average across the network. Perceptions of trust are also measured using 3 validated survey questions. These questions were also identified, defined, and validated using quantitative research. They capture 3 dimensions of interorganizational trust, including reliability, openness to discussion, and mission alignment or support of the mission, which refers to the extent to which 2 partners share a common mission. As with value, these dimensions of trust are assessed on a 4-point scale, where 1 equals low and 4 equals high. Your member profile includes your organization's average trust score, as well as the overall network averages for your comparison. Here are some things to keep in mind as you try to make sense of your organization's trust and value scores. First, keep in mind that your scores are dependent on the overall response rate for your survey. Your score depends on what organizations answered the survey, which organizations reported having a partnership with your organization, and which organizations then took the time to answer the trust and value questions about your organization. If several of your organization's key partners fail to answer the survey, your trust and value scores might be affected. We at VNL have found that value scores are often, although not always, lower than trust scores. So if you find your organization's or your overall network's value scores to be lower than trust, you are in good company. If your organization has lower value scores, that might mean that your partners are not as familiar with the resources that your organization has to offer, or that they're not aware of how involved your organization is. An organization's lower value score may be due to other network members' lack of familiarity with that organization. Also keep in mind that the power and influence dimension of value often reflects whether an organization has funding available or regulatory authority. If your organization's power and influence score is low, this may simply reflect the type of organization that you are, rather than an aspect of the organization that you have power to change. Finally, we at VNL recommend that you talk about these trust and value scores with your colleagues in your organization and use them in 2 different ways. The first way you can use them is for quality improvement purposes. Consider how your scores compare to the overall network average. For which dimension did your organization score the highest? For which did you score the lowest? Do these high and low scores make sense to you? If some of your scores are lower, think about how they could be improved through, for example, more effective communication or the alignment of expectations among collaborative partners. The second way you can use these scores is to celebrate your organization's strengths with both internal and external stakeholders. If your organization scored 3 or above on any dimension of trust or value, or if your organization's average scores are higher than the average of the whole network, then you should celebrate them. Make sure that you share them with staff, include them in reports to your board of directors, and cite them in grant applications as indicators of your commitment to strong and effective multi-sector collaboration. I hope this helped you understand more about your trust and value scores.